that our club channel? Just North Radio Club, is that right?
Do what now?
Is the YouTube channel just Northwestern Hills Amateur Radio Club?
Yes. It's firing up now. There's John Jones. I need to mute the audio. We should be streaming live now on YouTube.
Let us know when you're ready for us to start.
Do I?
Just let us know when you're ready for us to kick off and get going.
Okay. It's 7:03. We actually have 23 people signed in on Zoom, so that's a pretty good number. So I guess we can go ahead and start. Welcome, everybody. There's our visitor from the net joining. So now we have 24. So welcome, everybody. Welcome on Zoom. Welcome on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Be sure to sign in the chat on Zoom. And if you're on YouTube, sign in via comments. Tell us your call sign, your name, and whether you're a member or not, so we can keep up with that. And this will hopefully be our last Zoom only meeting. Our plans are to do September both live at the fire station and on Zoom and on YouTube. So we'll be doing all kinds of good things in September, hopefully. In September, John Park's going to do our meeting on propagation. So that'll be an interesting one. That'll be a good one to store up on YouTube also. Birthdays, I know we had Doyle had one, I think it was yesterday or day before. Anybody else have any birthdays this month? All right, I'll assume nobody else wants to admit they had a birthday. How about that? How about visitors? Do we have any visitors? I know we have one. I just saw him sign in, but I'll let him introduce himself. Anybody else?
Hey, Jeff, it's Lowell. My birthday was on the 12th and Victoria's was on the 6th of this month.
Sweet, sweet. So you're both 25, right?
Yes, I just have more tax than she does.
I won't tell you how many times I've been 25, so. All right. Any other birthdays? All right, so visitors, I know we have one there, I see. And John, I hope I pronounced your last name right. John Demano, W7KJB. He was a participant on our net Thursday night and was interested in joining our club meeting tonight, and we welcome you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Glad you came.
Yes, sir.
You want to tell us anything about yourself?
Okay, I'm originally from, I'm a Yankee by birth. I'm a Southerner by choice. I'm back to the great state of Texas for the 4th tour of duty. I'm an Air Force pilot, 9 years. And for you veterans, thank you for your service.
Yes.
I work at Flight Safety as an instructor pilot, and glad to be here. Like I said, I'm bivouacking with another Yankee downstairs. We live up here in Louisville. He commutes out of Vegas. I commute out of Atlanta. So my wife, like I said, and miracles do happen, gentlemen. She's even talking about moving back to Texas. Whoa. So anyway, that's a good thing. But glad to be here. And like I said, I was scanning the frequencies the other day on my my mobile radio. I go back and forth to the training center and picked you guys up loud and clear. So I thought, you know, I'll give them my 2 cents, and here we go. And it's probably because of you, John. I'm blaming you. Anyway, good to be here, guys. Whiskey 7 KJB, and like I said, hope to learn a lot from you guys because you're on track. And thanks for the invite, John.
Well, we're glad to have you. I hope I pronounced your last name right.
Demano. You got to say it with your hands, John. Demano.
Demano. Okay.
That's right. You got it.
All right. Any other visitors? Michelle, glad to see you join us tonight. All right, I guess we don't have any more visitors. Travis, I saw you join tonight. Would you like to give us a brief treasurer report?
No, I got to get with Lowell still. Every time I get ready to do it, just everything goes out of the window. So that is my project for this week. So hopefully I will get with Lowell. And I did go by the post office box, so we don't have anything in there. So we're good that way. So sorry.
Well, the last numbers I have are the ones I got from you that night when I called you. So we'll just share those with them. In the checking, we have $1,795.34. And in PayPal, I checked right before the meeting, we have $52.89. And we leave a little bit in there to cover our monthly Zoom cost. So I think we're good there. I don't know anything about a repeater fund. I don't know that anything's changed a whole lot since we've all been kind of sitting at the house the last, 6 months now, I guess, something like that. So that'll be all I know about the treasurer. Tom, you have anything you want to share with? Oh, go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, I think it's 6 months, but it feels like so much longer.
Yeah.
God, I'm so tired of this. So anyway, go ahead.
Tom, you got anything?
Well, I'll just when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a network bandwidth low error on your signal, Tom. So we'll do the best we can there. I don't think Bob's online tonight. Are you, Bob?
We 2 bars. Maybe it's right there on that window. It's probably where you're standing then.
Is Bob online? Okay. Lowell, I don't know if you got anything on training. I know we have a class tomorrow for licenses, but other than that, I don't know anything.
Negative. I don't have anything right at the moment. With my office closing and focusing on that, I haven't really done too much with it, to be honest.
That's fine. That's fine. I know we talked about doing a general class. That'll probably be a little bit later, would be my guess. Don't think Hugh's on tonight. Is Hugh on? Nope. And what about Christina and William? Are they all on? Okay. I will say this. Early on, I was sending out emails on a monthly basis to members whose membership had lapsed and or about to lapse. I'm going to try to get that picked back up next week and send another one about our hopefully in-person meeting next month. Try to get some new members in there. As far as the license class tomorrow, we're having, I think you said 5 firemen that want to do theirs tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So maybe we can pick up 5 new members out of that group also. Okay, does anybody in the membership have any announcements they want to share?
Well, this is Jeff. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Parks on the Air. It's a POTA. So in Wednesday night, I'm up in Colorado. I'll finally be at a state park Wednesday night. So I plan on working FT8, maybe sideband for the next 3 nights in 3 separate parks. Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night from Colorado and Wyoming, 7 o'clock local Dallas time. So probably start on 20-meter FT8 and then kind of go from there. So if you haven't ever heard of Parks on the Air, it's you can just Google Parks on the Air or parksontheair.com or something like that. So I should be on starting Wednesday for 3 nights in a row.
All right. Hopefully I'll remember and I can maybe send an email out Wednesday also to remind people. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Okay.
What's happening with the Texas QSO party?
That's a good question. When is that? That's September, isn't it, Jeff?
September 13th and 14th.
I'd like for us to
Yeah,
participate. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think well, it's traditionally a individual contest, but you can also submit your score as underneath a club. So when you put in your Calibro file, we should put, North Richland Hills ARC as that as well. So I'll be back in Texas definitely for that contest. It's a really fun contest because everybody wants to talk to people in Texas on that weekend.
Is that all mode? Like FTA?
Yes, it's CW. It's CW, digital and SSB. You can submit, as a mixed category, or just phone, or just CW or digital. So CW and digital is 2 points. Phone is 1 point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on participating in that one if nothing happens between now and then. But I'm gonna do digital. I don't know why anybody would do phone on contest anymore. You get twice as many points.
It's
I mean, we figured.
Hey, it's the 12th and 13th, not the 13th, 14th.
Okay.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, and on Saturday night they typically close the contest. There's a lot of mobile stations. So if you like hunting mobile, because they drive around and they try to light up as many of the 254 counties as possible. If you work a mobile station in 5 separate counties, then that's a 500-point multiplier.
Wow. Wow. So everybody will be looking for the mobiles then.
Oh yeah, and you're always like, when are you going to be in the next county? And then, okay, and then you QSY back to their frequency, and so.
That'll be cool. That'll be cool. Yeah, I'm planning on working out. I like contests now. I've never done them really until this year, and they're fun. I don't always do real good, but they're still fun, and I guess that's the main point of them. All right. Anybody else? I don't know how many we have on YouTube, but we have 25 on Zoom. So that's about our normal numbers for club meetings. That's good. And there's some people missing that I can just see off the top of my head. But anyway. All right, so if there's no more announcements, I'm going to unmute Tom if I can find him on my list over here.
I got it for you.
Y'all are good?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's Tom Phillips, our Vice
And
President.
you can see us.
For those of you who are not members, Tom's our Vice President, and he's going to be doing a presentation tonight on mag loop antennas and give us a really nice demonstration. So Tom, it's all yours.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you all for coming to the club meeting. I know we all appreciate that, and we hope we will be able to give you some information. Some of you already had seen me do a presentation, maybe a couple of years ago, I think. And I had a magnetic loop that was similar to this. There are major differences, but it was a smaller diameter big loop, and I'll go through the components for you. And so those who had seen that presentation, I've completely redone the entire loop itself. So what I think I'll do is go through the components of it right here and give you a slight explanation of why I have what I have, and then I want to show you what this material is made of right here. I have a sample sitting next to me. So there are two main parts to the loop. And the first part is this little tiny loop here. This is called the primary loop or the coupling coil. And this coupling coil right now is made of about 2 inches of copper, 2-inch wide copper. It's probably about an eighth of an inch or less in thickness. And the reason for the width of the copper is that this main loop, which is 1¼ inches in diameter, requires a coupling loop that has enough mass to it, enough diameter to make the coupling. And when I first experimented with this version, I put a simple wire, just a normal, I don't know, RG8 type wire, and connected it up, and it wouldn't connect. And it dawned on me that I needed more coupling, more mass here in order to couple it directly to the copper, the main copper loop. And of course I have this is RG213 wire, and it's a PL259. And right now I've got it set at right angles so I could play around with it and experiment with it. Otherwise I can put another straight down connector and have the wire just loop off. And I would like to keep the wire a little bit away from the capacitor, which is the separate element from the coil and the primary. But the capacitor on this model here that I've made is a Russian-made capacitor, and it has a capacitance from 7 picofarads to 350 picofarads, and it's called a vacuum variable capacitor, and it's in a glass gauge. And one side rotates into the other side. There you can see the bellows. And when I turn the tuning screw on it, which is right over here, done by the plastic chain, which is connected to a small gear, and then there's an inner gear that you can't see up inside this copper tubing, and the lower gear is connected to a stepper motor. That's a NEMA stepper motor. It has 2 coils on it, and I'm controlling those 2 coils using a controller that I built, and we get upstairs. But in this case, by tuning the capacitor, I can increase or decrease the frequency of this entire loop. And right now, the frequency is on the 20-meter band, and it's up, maybe about, I think we got it around 270, 14.270 is where it's tuned. And it can tune fairly quickly, but as you'll see, the main thing about a magnetic loop antenna, it isn't flat. It doesn't have a flat SWR all the way across the particular band that you're on. You have to tune this across the band, and it's got a very high Q. So if you're willing to spend a few seconds to tune it, you can tune it anywhere. In this case, I built this loop to tune between 40 meters and 15 meters. I can't quite make 10. In order to make 10 meters, I would have to cut the coil, the outside coil diameter down about maybe 3 inches. But I was kind of unwilling to do that to start with. That will come later during my experimentation. And the housing is nothing more than cutting board. This white housing is nothing more than cutting board, but it's all polyurethane, and it really holds well. It holds up well to the weather. I've had this in this condition for the last 4 months, sitting out here, getting rained on, getting stormed on, and everything, and it hasn't missed a beat. And I was able to transmit even during the bad rainy weather. And in my case, I use a PVC pipe. I just drove it into the ground, and I drilled some holes about 1 inch apart all the way down so that I could raise and lower this body. So I've had it down to about 1 inch. And for our demonstrations, I've raised it up a little bit so we can see it. Otherwise, the cameraman wouldn't be able to get underneath it. But you can do any kind of assembly you would like. Later on, one of my other experiments with this is to connect it to a rotating array of some kind, where I can not only turn it 90 degrees, because about all you need to turn is 90 degrees, but also tilt it a little bit, not more than maybe 45 degrees, because one of the things about a magnet is, in vertical position, it's all ground independent. Even though it does say that you should put this at least 1 diameter above ground. So theoretically, it would probably be up around here. But I have tested it, and I haven't seen any appreciable, if any noticeable difference. So I leave it at this location so I can play around with it some more. That's just my choice. But eventually, I'll raise it up and put it on a rotator that will rotate, as I say, 90 degrees, and also tilt it at least 45 degrees. And the reason is there is some selectivity that goes on with a magnetic loop. And you can increase the signal a little bit, and every little bit of dB counts. And if you tilt it back 45 degrees, it does affect the takeoff angle somewhat, so you can control it a little bit. And I've had other people that work with these magnetic loops do that. In fact, they've got larger diameter secondary coils up to 3 inches, but the 3-inch is wrapped around a PVC flex pipe that you use in the ordinary garden, and they wrap it with about 3-inch wide by, I think, maybe a 1/4 inch or a 1/16 of an inch copper strap, and they just wrap it all the way around, connect one end to the capacitor and the other end to that side of the capacitor. And believe it or not, it actually works, and it's more efficient in that way. So right now, the efficiency of this calculated using the online calculators, I'm at about 80% efficient with this particular 1 1/4 inch tubing. So, one other thing is I've got copper on each side that mates to the copper here. And right now I'm using a screw. That is not the right way to do it. I am doing it this way because I wanted to put together just to test some of the parameters out and the stepper motor. But eventually I'm going to have this piece, the copper, soldered to this. And then this goes inside and connects to the vacuum variable capacitor. It makes a very solid contact to it. Look, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. And then what we'll do is we'll go upstairs and show you what the transceiver sees using this magnetic loop and what the SWR looks like. And we still have time, we can try to make a contact. So turn it back to the club.
How much is your design and how much is the design? Where did you get the design from?
I'll tell you what, that's a good question. I just looked around YouTube and watched everybody build theirs years ago. I've been on this now for about 6 years, and I saw what they were doing, and I decided that with some modifications, I just put it together. The flex tubing, here is the actual flex tubing. Let's see, I'll give you a look if, yeah, Lo can show you this is the copper. I took it apart right here so you can see. And I just bent it into a more rounded circle. Flex tubing is tubing I got from where I work. I don't know if you can pick it up, but the substitute for it, you can use copper tubing, maybe 1-inch copper tubing you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot, but you will need a device to make it form into a circle. Or you'll see on YouTube, a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't have the tools necessary to make a circle. They go ahead and they use couplings, and it looks like a hexagon when it's finished. Not quite as efficient, but you can use a hexagon.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just was going to let y'all know that just for general knowledge, the makers workshop at the North Richland Hills Library has a pipe bender that will go up to 2-inch diameter, and it's in the.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to do this, they have a pipe bender there that is usable, and a 3D printer.
Free?
Yep. Don't even have to have a library card.
That is really good news. I've got some plans for another loop, smaller. Let's see, to answer your other question, if you purchase the copper, like I did before with 3/4 of an inch, it cost me like about $15. These, I got 4 of these so I could make mistakes cutting them. And it cost me, I think, $4 a piece for a whole, a big cutting board. And I cut them up. So I've probably got 1 cutting board here, or no, maybe 2.5 cutting boards here. So what I paid about maybe $20 for that. The most expensive is the vacuum variable capacitor. That cost me $180 on eBay. But you can also make your own out of aluminum. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that show you how to make a variable open air capacitor using just aluminum plates and cut them up. Takes a lot of effort and time, but it may be worth it for you to save you a lot of money. But I wanted something right away. I felt it was worth the money. The other cost is the NEMA 17 motor, and that motor cost me all of $11, and I got that on Amazon. And the plastic chain and yours cost me another, I think, $15. I got on a hobby website that makes all kinds of gears and pulleys and things for models and things like that. So you just had to look around. I had to do a lot of searching. I will rip the gear for a solid rubber gear pulley, because the backlash on a plastic gear like this, though very small, is noticeable enough by me when I'm tuning it that I want to see no noticeable backlash. So if I can point that out when I test it up, show you upstairs, I can see that. So all total, something like this would run you probably no more than $200. Does that answer your question, by the way?
When you started building this, what percentage of tweaking and changing do we see now in this final product from when you started the project?
Experimenting with it, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks of playing around with it, several hours a day in the evening. But it's because I was experimenting. If I was to take somebody else's design and build it, I could build it right away, you know, if I followed their design. And you can also purchase these magnetic loops now. I believe MFJ has one. I forget what the other manufacturers are out there, but again, if you just go on and search for magnetic loop antenna, you're going to find quite a number of them that have come out now because it's becoming very popular, especially if you have a restricted area to transmit. And what a lot of people don't realize is they think the magnetic loop is just good enough for receiving. But no, it's a perfectly old transmission. And this is set up right now to where experimentally, I'm hoping to show that I can get at least 1 kW into it before it burns up or blows the capacitor. And that's not proven, but calculation wise, it says I should be able to get 1 kW out of it. But right now I do 100 watts. And even at 100 watts voltage and current in this loop is very high. The voltage is very high down here when transmitting, and you do not want to even be near it when I'm transmitting with it or anybody's transmitting with it. Any other questions? Okay. With that, then what we're going to do is shut down here and go upstairs, and we'll open up the Zoom, which we have all set up, and it's already linked up, and then I can show you what it looks like on the other side to receive something off of this.
You want to show me the long wire?
Yeah, I guess we. One of the things that we're going to make a comparison to is this magnetic loop and my long wire. I have a sloper antenna that my cameraman will show you. Just put it up temporarily, and it has the transformer at the bottom end, at the end, and it goes up to a 40-foot fiberglass expandable pole. And so we'll be comparing the signal on the magnetic loop with that long wire antenna. Okay, that's good. Thanks, Lo. We'll see you in a few seconds. Give us a minute or two and we'll be right up.
All right. So while Tom and Lowell are going back upstairs, if you haven't signed in via the chat or if you're on YouTube via comments, please do so that we know who all came in tonight. We have had 24. I think the extra one was Lowell on his other connection there. So we had 24 online on Zoom, and just looked at YouTube, and we had 3, but I think one of those 3 was me looking at YouTube. So we have a couple of people on YouTube. We're glad you're with us tonight. Just a reminder, next month's meeting, John Park's going to do a presentation on propagation, and will be very, very interesting. We're going to attempt to do this on in person and on Zoom and stream it live to YouTube all at the same time. So that'll be a nice little challenge, but it will be great if we can get that to work so that we have multiple ways for people to join in. So while we're waiting on them, does anybody have any comments or anything they want to share with us?
I've got a stupid question, or maybe not so stupid, just not. Now that I've moved into this apartment, I've got my SDR. I don't have any transceiver for HF, but I've got a SDR. And what would be the shortest long wire I could put out to just listen to some HF?
All right.
One of you antenna guys want to answer that? Because my answer is as long as you can get out.
Okay. And so would like 14 gauge copper wire be good for doing something like that, or?
Yeah, it should be. Now, Travis, I will tell you this, if you got a little time, do a Google search. There are antenna plans that you can do in an apartment.
Oh, I know.
The actual apartment. One of them uses a slinky.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I was also looking at using the gutters.
Yeah, hey, if you got access to them, go for it.
Yep.
Yeah, the SDR receivers do best with resonated antennas or antennas that have a pre-selector between them and the receiver.
Okay.
But you should be able to make just a short kind of dipole antenna.
Okay, we're back.
So one thing my son was, can you hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
One thing my son did when he was had to be away from home and in an apartment for a while was that he took a very small drill bit, drilled a hole through the sheetrock and fished a wire from room to room and put a loop around the perimeter as high as he could in the ceiling from room to room with a small gauge wire, insulated wire, and then came down to a tuner. If you space the wires like 6 inches apart, that'll be about 600 ohm. You can create your own 600 ohm ladder line and go into a balanced tuner with it. I do it around the eave of the house here because I'm in an HOA now.
Yep.
But
Okay.
that was one thing he did. Very small hole, easy to fill, hide it after you're gone, and he just ran a wire around the entire apartment from room to room, keeping it in one nice big loop.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna play with some of that stuff. So thanks, everybody.
I don't know how to get a move in this typical segment.
Somebody's standing on their head. There we go.
Well, it's backwards. I'm trying to get it forwards, but it's going to be back. Does everything look correct on y'all's? It's backwards here.
It looks correct here.
Okay, maybe it's just me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm having to manually run a camera backwards. So everything I do is backwards to what it's supposed to be. So my apologies. So I'll hand it back over to Tom here.
Okay, guys. If you'll notice, by the way, this rig is a ICOM 7300. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but I know Rich has a Flex that I know probably puts this thing to shame. But it is a waterfall display, and I've got it set up so that you can see a slowly tapering upward waveform. And that's because the magnetic loop does not have a flat line across it. But when I switch to the sloper antenna, which we'll do right there, you'll see now there is a flat line all the way across. And if I was to do the SWR on that, I will come over here, hit SWR, and hit that.
You want it on the sloper or the magnet?
Yeah, no, I want it on the sloper. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to look at the SWR as the transceiver sees it. You see the little blue? That's almost flat. It's almost like 1.03 to 1 or something like that. Now we'll switch over to the magnetic loop antenna. Now, do you see the difference? And we're tuned somewhere in this area, down at the bottom. I'd have to tune the transceiver a little bit more, but I just parked it somewhere where I thought it would tune, but I can certainly do okay here. The best it's doing right now is 1.5 to 1. And by fiddling with the components outside, I can bring it down to, I've had it down to 1.03 to 1. But right now I like it at this point so I can demonstrate the nice drop off and then the upswing again. So you can see how narrow the bandpass is. And that's a good thing in many respects because it acts as its own, it acts as its own pre-selector in many ways. So you get that free of charge.
Okay, so that's basically what I was just going to show you, the difference. And we're at 14.233. So I'll get out of this area now. And since we're on the mag loop, I'm going to power up with my portable. I'm going to pump 10 watts into it to see what the SWR is up here on the Elecraft. That's this one right up there. Okay, the Elecraft will, can you see that? It's reading 1.5, about equal to what you were seeing in the other one when we were looking at it actually from the transceiver itself. So, and it's 10 watts. Now, when I go to transmit from the microphone, then it will just modulate like it normally does. And I was hoping that we could make a contact with this, but I think we're going to run out of time. But you can see a signal up in here.
Go ahead and try, Tom.
So that's off center, but I can still copy it. You know, you can copy it a good 16 or 20 kilohertz, but you, if I was to now trigger it to see where it is, look at the SWR, it's gone up to 2.5 up here, okay? Yeah, you should be able to see that. And that's because of the fact that I'm down below where I was tuned to. So I would then have to come over here to my tuner. And by pressing this button on the top, I'm incrementing it maybe 1.8 degrees on that shaft. If I touch it one time, I just increment it quickly at 1.8 degrees. If I hold it down, it'll start stepping the motor 1.8 degrees at a time, very slowly, so that I can achieve. If I press it down, I'll point it right to that thing there. And if you can see this, when I'm pressing the button that I showed you, it's at 1.7 to 1. So I'll keep pressing it. Notice it went down to 1.5 because I pressed it again. I'm at my limit for this setup. And then to go down to 1.0 to 1, I'd have to go out and make some more adjustments there. But you get the idea. You need a stepper motor or something to tune the thing remotely. Otherwise, you're constantly going back and forth, tuning it by hand. You don't want to do that. And other people have gone so far as to create a Raspberry Pi controller to do it automatically. And it follows the frequency of the transceiver. That's a project in the distant future, because I'm still playing around with the mechanics of the magnetic loop itself and experimenting. There's so much to do. It just keeps you busy, just trying to figure out what's going on and learning about it and studying the science of it. But last night, I had it over a friend's house. I don't know if he's on here now. He may not be, but I took it over to a friend's house and we were able to hear Hawaii, and we actually talked to a few other places when it was just sitting at his poolside. And I took it back here that night and I immediately contacted Panama, and I was able to get a demonstration between the mag loop and the sloper, and it was identical in Panama. So there are times when they are going to be identical. There are times when the mag loop will actually hear and transmit better, and at other times when the sloper won't. So it's always good to have a couple of antennas around to experiment with, but if you're restricted, I guarantee you working with a magnetic loop will not be a problem if you play around with it and get it running. You don't need any space for it at all, hardly. Anyhow, that concludes my my presentation, but if you've got any last minute questions on this side, please speak up.
So Tom, I've seen pictures of them on wheels. That might be a solution for somebody in an apartment complex. Roll it out on the patio, do its thing, and then roll it back in the house. Have you ever used one on wheels?
Yes, my first one was made on wheels. I actually rolled it around the parking, my parking area, and transmit it from there. And I put little weights on it. Other people have got a 5-gallon jug, and they put a stand in the middle of it and poured sand in it. And they put that on wheels and rolled it around. So, and I had mine up about 6 feet with that configuration. It was able to hold it up pretty good.
How did it perform?
Not quite as good as this one, but out in the open, away from my, my car and the steel, it performed really well.
Good. Okay. Like I said, I've just seen pictures of them, and I'm thinking for people that are in HOAs or in apartments or whatever, it might be a good antenna for them to be able to move in and out and not get in too much trouble.
Yeah, it would be very, very good. It's well worth the fun and the effort to put it together. And like I say, you could, if you don't want to build one like this from scratch, you can buy one.
Okay. Anybody else got questions?
I've got just one. If you were to use copper tubing and you were to leave it outside, are you going to have to coat it, or will the natural oxidation not cause any problem? Any ideas?
Right. The natural oxidation won't cause any problem as long as what you have connected to
Doesn't
it
corrode. Yeah.
steel. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The
Cool.
outside of the copper won't make any difference.
Okay. Because then it can look like, a piece of garden art or something like that.
There you go.
There you go.
And put some plastic plants on it so it looks like, a decoration.
Yeah.
There's
Are you
always
talking?
ways to get an antenna up if you're motivated enough.
All we have to worry about is Sergeant Schultz coming in. I know nothing. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Anybody
Nice
else?
nice presentation.
Tom,
Yeah.
I got a question. How is that scalable down to 80 meters?
What scale are you referring to?
Well, I'm looking for 80 meters.
You mean on this transceiver?
No. The antenna. How
I make a loop? Oh, I'd have to make a
would
much
it work
bigger
on 80? Not
diameter
that
loop.
one, but an antenna, a loop antenna.
How
Yeah,
much?
you'd have to make,
How much bigger would it have to be?
let's see, for 80 meters, my guess is you could have to, right now it's 2 feet. You'd have to have about 5 or 6, maybe 5 or 6 feet in diameter.
There was a
Okay.
QST magazine not too long ago. I think it was about, I say not too long ago, maybe 6 months ago now, where a guy actually took 2 80-meter loops and put them in series together and actually had it 160 meters.
That's right.
on mag loops.
Yeah,
Wow.
you can do that too. I tell you, there's a lot on YouTube that will show you. Just plug in magnetic loop and you will
Everything's
get
on
all
YouTube.
kinds of great ideas. I'm sorry, Dave.
I said everything's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the North Richland Hills Amateur Radio Club.
There you go.
That's right.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
All right.
Wayne, I've got a question. Can you make the corrugated copper loop in a spiral?
What was that? Was that a question?
Yes. Can you make the corrugated loop into a spiral, such as like a 1 or 2 inch wide copper strip, and spiral it up in the form of the loop?
Yeah, I alluded to that when I was outside, but that's an excellent question. It's called a helical magnetic loop, where you take a 2-3 inch wide copper strip, maybe about a 1/16 of an inch thick. Remember, RF is on the surface of material, not inside, so the thickness won't matter. But it should be thick enough to maintain it. So you get a 2 or 3 inch wide strip and you wrap it around, leaving little spaces, a little space between each wrap as it goes around from one side of the material and the other. I'm trying to think of one. I believe if you go down to a plumbing supply, they'll show you the flexible polyurethane tubing that you can bend into a any kind of loop, and then wrap it, and then connect it to your variable capacitor. Yes, you can definitely do that, and there's a big advantage. The efficiency goes way up. You're almost at 95 or 98% efficiency for energy transfer. That's a process I want to do a little later on, but I'm just fooling around with them at this stage just to play with the electronics of it and fool around that way. But I am going to go that way eventually. It's a great question.
Well, I've got another question. How does the energy get coupled from your very small loop there at the top to the big loop? How does it get coupled from the small loop to the big loop?
Well, it's the theory of a transformer. A transformer is the primary with a couple of turns on the coil, and you have the secondary with a couple of turns on the coil. And if you've got one turn on the primary and the secondary has a larger diameter or maybe more turns, you're going to get coupling between the two and an energy transfer, or in this case, RF energy transfer between the primary and the secondary. It's that simple. And the capacitor is on the secondary between one end and the other. And that capacitor determines the frequency at which that secondary loop will resonate.
Okay. So essentially this becomes an open air transformer.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Yes. Without the metal in between, like a normal transformer would be. An open air transformer.
So in the case that Dave wants to build one for 80 meters or even 160, then if I wind this in a spiral, would I expect it to not be quite so big diameter if it's wound in a spiral?
No, it's not the spiral. It's the diameter of the entire secondary coil that you're winding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the spiral makes it more efficient.
Right. It gives more surface to the RF waves to transmit from. More surface, less resistance to the RF. The big thing about a magnetic loop is you have to keep the DC resistance down to a minimum. That means you got to solder everything very good. And if you have anything that's not soldered well, it increases the resistance, the DC resistance, and therefore the efficiency goes way down.
Right.
So to get maximum transfer, you got to make sure that every joint is soldered very well. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, it was a great time. I enjoyed the demonstration with the radios. That was neat.
Thank you. It's always a lot of fun.
Yep, I want to build me one of those, but got other things got to do right now. But I'll hit you up, Tom, when I'm ready. Or I may just come over in the middle of the night and take yours.
Just make sure he's not transmitting when you pick it up.
Well, that's true. Because then he'd find me laying there right by the antenna with smoke coming out of every opening on my body.
Watch out for the donkey.
Yeah, I'll just bring something to eat for them. He'll run away. All right. Anything else, guys?
Hey, Jeff, Colorado, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got stepped on when you and I were talking last time about that file. You said you were able to put together a file for me.
I will be. I got the instructions from N3FJP because they don't, he has now changed the software back to when it's calculated the 1Ds, talking to 1Ds, he's already reversed that piece of software. So he gave me the instructions on how to do it manually. Remember on field day, a 1D can't talk to a 1D?
Right.
Yeah. So he's already put the new version of the software out that took that fix back out.
Okay.
So I don't have my original logging computer with me here, but I do have access to my ADI file. So
yeah, if you just get me the ADI file, and then we'll work with it from that point. I just have to have it in by Friday.
yeah, I could send you the ADI file.
Okay, we'll just go from there. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Sorry. Yeah. Don't have all my tools here.
What kind of ham are you if you don't have all your tools? Aren't you supposed to pack everything up in the trailer? And
I have my laptop to run my stuff. I don't have my main rig at the house.
Oh, that's no excuse.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I didn't bring my 3 monitor. So Ron, when you go and you have your 3 monitors with you all the time?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Last time I went backpacking, the guy in his trailer had 3 monitors mounted inside the trailer. We worked FT8 at the park.
He's a vacation ham.
There you go.
He's a ham, all right. Just picking on you, Jeff.
All right. Anybody else? Going once.
Hey, Jeff, one other thing you might want to do is send out an email to find out how many people might want to work the Texas QSO.
Okay. I'll do that. No, I mentioned this I think at the board meeting. I don't know that I mentioned it to the whole group. I think I sent an email, but who reads emails? Bob went into Ham Club Online and created a skill called contesting and an event called contest. If he knew you were already participating in contests like field day and some of the ones we've done earlier this year, he added that skill to you, but you may want to double check and make sure. If you're interested in getting the emails and the stuff about contesting, make sure you have that skill, because when I start sending out emails about contest, I'm going to start sending them only to the contesting group. So I probably won't send it till the end of the week, which will give us a little over a week. So if you're interested in getting emails about contesting, make sure you go into Ham Club Online, add yourself the skilled contesting. That way you'll get those emails. That way we don't spam everybody in the club with emails about contests if they're not interested in it. So that was the public service announcement for the club tonight. So, all right. Anybody else? This will be going twice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for participating tonight. I think total we had about 26 people between Zoom and YouTube. So that's a pretty good turnout. Hopefully we'll have that many next month between in-person, YouTube, and Zoom. And we will have a nice meeting. Like I said, John Park's going to do a presentation on propagation. And then in October, Harry's going to do a presentation on the ham radio operator and the HOA, and give us some of the secrets on how to deal with them and maybe get around them. So everybody be sure to participate there. Bring anybody that's interested in that. I know my wife's not a ham, but she's going to be in there to listen and learn from that one also. So if there's nothing else, somebody want to move that we adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Thanks everybody for showing up. And I'll give you back a little more time of your night. And we will see you guys and see the board members in a couple of weeks at the board meeting. See you next month, hopefully in person at the fire station. 73, everybody. Everybody have a good week.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Thanks, Tom.
Okey doke.
Yeah, Tom, that was very good. Like I said, I'm gonna hit you up when I get ready to build one.
I got the parts, some of them.
Well, I know I won't have a $180 Russian variable capacitor. I'll have to figure out what to do, but I'll find something.
A regular air variable will do, as long as you don't do much power.
Yeah, well, I won't do over 100 because that's as much as my radio will do. So we'll go from there. Thanks, Tom. Really
Okay.
interesting. 73.
73s.
Hey, Jeff, I have a quick question.
Okay.
At Ham Club Online, am
Yeah.
I supposed to have a log on or do I have to create one?
You should have one, but I can resend you an invite email, which should give you.
Yeah, I don't remember that detail.
Yeah, let me look real quick while I got you online.
If you've got one for me or if I had one or.
Well, I won't. Yeah, I won't know your password. But
Well, I mean, if I've got a login, I can request a forgot password reset type thing.
Let's see here.
I'm looking at the main page to log in, and I don't have a note where I keep my passwords that I've got a login for it.
Okay, so let's go here. So yeah, it won't give me your password. It used to let me send.
That's okay.
You might need to give it Bob, because becoming president, I lost access to a lot of things that I used to have access to.
Uh-oh.
So I can't pull reports, and I can't send a invite email or something. But so hook up with Bob, and he can hook you up.
Bob,
Bob Norris.
Yeah, Norris. Yeah.
Yeah, AK5U. I think that's his.
All right. Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Get him. He can hook you up.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Have a good evening.
No problem. 73.
73. See you later.
All righty.